Did you know that in the time it takes to listen to this single sentence, someone in America might have just suffered a heart attack? But what if the heart holds a secret power to heal that we're only just beginning to understand?
Welcome to Dr. Mercola's Cellular Wisdom. Stay informed with quick, easy-to-listen summaries of our latest articles, perfect for when you're on the go. No reading required. Subscribe for free at Mercola.com for the latest health insights.
Hello and welcome to Dr. Mercola's Cellular Wisdom. Today we are navigating a really interesting paradox. It's this collision between the grim reality of cardiovascular health statistics and a biological revelation that just completely challenges how we think about the human heart.
It is a paradox, and it's one that it requires us to hold two opposing ideas in our heads at the same time.
Right.
On one side, you have this fragility of the system, under modern stress. And on the other, this innate, almost hidden resilience that we are only now starting to appreciate.
Yes, and usually when we talk about the heart, the conversation is all about the fragility.
It is.
It's about the failure points. But the information we're looking at today suggests the heart isn't just some static machine that wears out. It's dynamic. But okay, before we get to the good news, and there is good news, we have to establish the baseline.
We do, and that baseline is really defined by frequency.
Okay, let's unpack this. The numbers are just relentless.
They are.
The data shows that in America, a heart attack occurs every 40 seconds.
Every 40 seconds.
And that adds up to, 805,000 people every single year?
And those are the numbers we hear, but I think we often gloss over what they actually imply about our society.
What do you mean by that?
Well, if something is happening every 40 seconds, it's not an anomaly.
Right.
It's not some rare genetic misfortune. It suggests that the environment we are living in, the lifestyle, the inputs, the stressors, is fundamentally at odds with this organ. 805,000 failures annually. That tells me we are pushing this biology to its breaking point on a huge scale.
That's a really good distinction. If it were rare, you'd look at the individual, since it's constant.
You have to look at the environment. So just think. In the time we've been doing this deep dive already, how many have occurred? It makes it immediate.
It does.
Yeah.
But I want to dig into the event itself. We use the term heart attack all the time, but the biological definition is very specific. It says the event is characterized by blocked coronary arteries that starve cardiac muscle of blood flow.
It's the mechanics of deprivation.
Starve is a very deliberate word, isn't it? We usually think of a heart attack as a sudden stop.
Like an engine seizing up.
Exactly. But starve implies a process.
It implies a metabolic crisis. You have to remember, the heart is the most energy-demanding organ in the body.
It never rests.
Never. So it requires this constant, uninterrupted stream of oxygen and nutrients. When we say blocked coronary arteries, we're really saying the supply chain has been cut.
And because the demand is so high.
The starvation happens almost instantly.
So it's not just that the pipe is clogged, it's that the muscle itself is basically running a marathon and someone just turned off its air supply.
That's a perfect analogy. And that starvation leads to rapid cell death. This is why the event is so catastrophic. The cells don't just pause, they actually start to degrade because they can't maintain their basic functions without that flow. This is what's called ischemia.
Historically, this is where the story usually ends, isn't it? The dogma has always been heart attacks, muscle starves, cells die, and then, well, that's it.
That's it.
You're left with a patch of scar tissue that doesn't pump, doesn't move, and will never heal.
That has been the prevailing medical consensus for decades. The brain and the heart were seen as post-mitotic organs.
Okay, post-mitotic. What's that mean in simple terms?
It's just a fancy way of saying the cells don't divide. You get the cells you're born with, and if you lose them, they're gone forever. The body just patches the hole with scar tissue.
So like biological duct tape.
Exactly. It holds the structure together, but it has zero function.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because the data we're looking at today just flips that entire script. The headline is explicit. Human hearts can regrow some muscle cells after severe damage.
And that changes everything.
It does, but I have to push back a little here. If the heart can regrow muscle cells, why is heart disease still the #1 killer? Why are those 805,000 people usually left with permanent damage? I mean, if the repair crew is there, why aren't they fixing the building?
That is the million-dollar question. And the answer, I think, lies in the nuance of that word some.
Some?
Yes. It says it can regrow some muscle cells. It doesn't say it can regrow the entire heart overnight. We are talking about a capacity, a potential not a guarantee of total restoration.
So the mechanism exists, but maybe it's too slow.
Or it's too suppressed. Think of it this way. In a salamander, if you cut off a limb, the cells de-differentiate, they go back to a sort of primitive state, and they rebuild the whole thing perfectly. We gave up a lot of that super regeneration ability in exchange for other complexities. But what this finding tells us is that the machinery for regeneration wasn't completely deleted from our code. It's still there.
Like a dormant program on a computer.
Precisely. We used to think the program was uninstalled. Now we know it's just hard to access. The fact that any regrowth happens after severe damage is the proof of concept. It means the heart isn't just a scarred wasteland after an attack. It is an active site of attempted repair.
Let's focus on that phrase, after severe damage. That seems counterintuitive. You'd think the body could only fix minor scratches. But this suggests that the catastrophe itself might be the trigger.
That's a very common biological principle. Often the signaling for repair is strongest when the damage is greatest. When that starvation event happens, the body screams for help. It mobilizes resources. And the realization that muscle cells, the actual pumping units, can reappear in that damaged zone is profound. It means we aren't just filling the hole with that duct tape.
The body is actually trying to rebuild the engine.
It's trying. But as you pointed out, in most cases, the scar tissue wins the race.
Why?
It forms fast. It's a survival mechanism to prevent the heart from rupturing. Real muscle regeneration is slow, it's complex. So you have a race between a quick, sloppy patch job and a slow, perfect repair.
And the patch job usually wins because the heart needs to keep pumping right now to keep you alive.
Exactly. It's emergency triage versus long-term construction.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
But the fact that the construction crew shows up at all is the game changer.
It absolutely is. It shifts us from a philosophy of damage control to a philosophy of potential activation.
What does that mean, potential activation?
If we know the cells can regrow, the clinical and, the personal goal shifts. How do we support that construction crew? How do we slow down the damage enough to let the regeneration catch up?
It makes that 805,000 number feel different.
How so?
Instead of 805,000 people with permanently broken machines, it's 805,000 people with injured organs that are frantically trying to heal themselves, often against the odds.
It adds a layer of agency to the biology. The body is always moving toward health. That is the wisdom in cellular wisdom. Even when it's faced with blocked arteries and starvation, the cells are striving to get back to function.
So what does this all mean then for those 805,000 people? How does this change things?
It should change how we view the entire process. We have this problem that happens every 40 seconds, the attack.
Right, the destruction.
But we also have a biological reality, the potential for regrowth, that offers a counter-narrative to that destruction.
So it's not just a one-way street to damage.
Not at all. And being aware of that potential is critical. Understanding that the heart isn't just a static pump that breaks, but a dynamic organ that is capable of some level of its own regeneration.
It's like we've been underestimating it this whole time.
Massively. We assumed it was fragile and passive, but really it's an active player in its own recovery. The blockage is essentially an interference pattern. It's stopping the natural intelligence of the body from doing its job.
So you're saying if you could just remove the interference.
If you restore the flow, if you end the starvation, you are providing the raw materials for that dormant regenerative program to kick in. You can't build a house without lumber, and you can't regrow heart muscle without oxygen and nutrients.
So the tragedy isn't just the attack, it's that we often assume the aftermath is set in stone.
We resign ourselves to the scar. We say, well, you had a heart attack, your heart function is lower, and that's your new normal. This data challenges that resignation. It suggests that normal is a moving target.
That word, some cells. I keep coming back to it. It's a humble word, but it does so much heavy lifting here.
It is the wedge in the door. If it were no cells, we'd have no conversation. Some implies a pathway. And in biology, if a pathway exists, it can usually be influence.
Influence how? I mean, what does the existence of this pathway imply for how we should live?
Well, it implies that we need to stop getting in the way. If the heart is fighting to regrow, we need to minimize the systemic insults that make that job harder. We talked about the environment at the beginning.
The 40-second interval.
That speed of destruction is driven by things like inflammation, metabolic dysfunction, stress.
The same things that caused the blockage in the first place.
Exactly. You can't expect the heart to effectively regrow muscle cells if the environment is still toxic. It's like trying to plant a garden in the middle of a battlefield. The potential for the garden is there, the seeds are there, but the bombs keep falling.
So the starvation is the bomb. And our lifestyle, the things causing the blockage, is the war.
A perfect way to put it. The cellular wisdom is the seed. It wants to grow. Our job is to clear the battlefield.
Yeah, this brings up a really interesting point about resilience. We usually think of resilience as toughness, taking a hit and not falling down.
Right, like a rock.
Yeah, but this is a different kind of resilience. This is plasticity.
It is. It's adaptive. Toughness is a rock. It doesn't break, but it doesn't change. Plasticity is more like a forest. It burns down, and then green shoots appear through the ash.
And the human heart, based on this, is much more like the forest than the rock.
I think so. It's a living ecosystem. And ecosystems have tipping points. The 805,000 heart attacks represent a negative tipping point where damage overwhelms the system. But the regrowth potential represents a positive one, where if conditions are right, life reasserts itself.
It's just incredible to think we're still discovering these fundamental truths about our own bodies. I mean, we've been dissecting hearts for centuries. How did we miss this?
We see what we expect to see. If you believe the heart cannot regenerate, you look at a slide of heart tissue, see a few new cells, and you might dismiss them as anomalies.
Or imaging errors.
Exactly. It takes a shift in perspective to say, wait a minute, what are those? Those are new. And science always advances by realizing what we were wrong about. Usually we're wrong in the direction of limitation. We underestimate the body.
Which makes me wonder, if we were this wrong about the heart, what else are we wrong about?
That is the exciting part. The heart was sort of the holy grail of non-regenerative organs. If the heart can do it, the boundaries of human healing are likely much further out than we currently believe.
So let's just recap where we've been. We started with the grim reality. A heart attack every 40 seconds.
A massive systemic burden.
We looked at the mechanism. Blocked arteries, starving the muscle, leading to what we all thought was permanent death.
The energy crisis of the cell.
Yes. But then we found this exception to the rule. The incredible fact that human hearts can regrow some muscle cells after severe damage.
The biological beacon of hope.
It really does reframe the whole conversation from one of managing decline to one of enabling potential.
It does. It reminds us that even when things look broken, the body is still on our side. It is still trying to find a way back to balance.
It's a comforting thought. We aren't driving a lemon. We're driving a vehicle that is constantly trying to repair itself, even while we're driving it down a bumpy road.
We just need to learn how to drive it a little better. I think that's it.
Well, thank you. This has been an incredible deep dive, from the macro steps down to the microcell, and then back out to the big picture.
It's a journey worth taking, and I hope it encourages everyone listening to look at their own biology with a little more awe and a little less fear. If the heart and organ we often view as purely mechanical has this hidden capacity to regrow amidst severe damage, where else in our biology might we be underestimating our own resilience?
Thank you for listening to Dr. Mercola's Cellular Wisdom. See you in the next episode. Looking for trusted health wisdom you can hold in your hands? Discover the life-changing books of Dr. Mercola at joyhousepublishing.com. These titles bring decades of natural health research into practical steps for better energy, stronger immunity, and clearer thinking. Take charge of your health with guidance rooted in science and experience. Visit joyhousepublishing.com now and claim your bonuses while they are available.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe now and click the notification bell so you never miss an update. See you in the next video.